This is the Ohio AgNet from the Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF and Certain Corn Herbicide. Unleash residual power early to allow for pre- and post-application to attack weeds at their weakest. I'm Ty Higgins. The glut of snow we got over the past week and a half has also offered up some insights about conservation across the state, especially when it comes to snert, which is snow mixed with dirt that has eroded due to winds across the Buckeye State. Jeff Dooling is past president of the Ohio Federation of Soil and Water Conservation Districts.
It is nothing like it was back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Things are really changing here. I know what's going on. We got some tremendous programs out there right now. The H2 Ohio program, just with the no-till, the cover crops, not messing with these corn stalks. You can see it right to the row where the corn stalks stop, the wheat field stop, and then where a guy did some tillage and the wind picks that dirt up and just moves it across the road and makes the snow dirty.
Snow is a different word.
Yeah.
Now we're just making up all kinds of words, Jeff.
Yes.
But are you seeing, and I mentioned other farmers are visiting with you as well, it's more widespread that we're seeing very clean snow on the side of the road.
I'm running down to Bell Fountain here every week. I go down 117 and I would just see it. Once I come out of Lima and head south, I'd see it everywhere. It just field after field after field. And the other day I was just watching, somebody else said something to me. He goes, boy, I'm just seeing less of it. Well, you start watching. Yeah, there's more wheat fields, more cornstalk fields, more cover crop fields out there. It's working. The mentality out there is changing.
You and I talked about, we haven't had a snow like this in a while. When we were younger, this was kind of the norm. You mentioned the visual, right? This gives you a visual
Yes.
that you can talk to farmers and have a conversation and start it to where otherwise it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. But this really kind of puts in perspective what you might be losing on your farm.
Yes. And I'm not out picking on farmers. I mean, my neighbors know 30 years ago, I was a tillage king here. My brothers and I, everything had to be obliterated, and then we'd get it leveled up and land level. And I would see that on my own fields, and it embarrassed me. That's what made me really, really change. And when you'd see the dirt along the highway there, and it's your dirt, that's good dirt. And back in the day, that was $2,000 an acre ground. Now we're talking $20,000, $15,000 to $20,000 an acre ground that's going across the road. And so it made me change. And I understand tillage. I have to do some yet too. Once in a while, when we do some tiling, we got to inject some manure. But I believe in getting it covered back up, get some cover crop, anything just to get it covered so we can make it through the winter without these problems.
Always great to talk to you, Jeff, and get your insights and really get other farmers involved in thinking about conservation. Some are as neck deep in it as you are, and some are just now starting to realize the importance of it. But unfortunately, when you get over a foot of snow, it kind of puts in perspective what might be happening on the countryside, and some good, some bad, but certainly a way to start the conversation. And appreciate you having that conversation with me today.
Thank you, Ty. Thanks for getting the word out there for me.
The full video of our talk is online now at ohioagnet.com. Get a check of the forecast now, brought to you by Seed Consultants, Simply Better Performance, online at seedconsultants.com. Here's Ryan Martin.
System coming together in the mid-Mississippi River Valley, Ohio, and Tennessee valleys. Looks an awful lot to me like maybe a warm front trying to set up. So I see moisture developing over the southern half of Ohio, I-70 southward later this afternoon and evening. I think we have to leave the door open to a couple of inches of snow. And my concern is if this is warm air moving over a very cold layer at the surface, we also have to leave the door open for a little bit of frozen precipitation, freezing drizzle, freezing rain. I don't think that's everywhere, but it's something I want to pay attention to very, very close to the Ohio River. Good news is this thing is done and gone by early tomorrow morning. I think we turn out partly to mostly sunny for the balance of your Wednesday and Thursday. Rain and snow showers coming back. Honestly, mostly snow showers coming back for Friday. Clipper system coming down in, coating to an inch or two possible out of that with snow across the entire state. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, and there are some positive things that came out of this brutally cold weather we've seen over the past 10 days. Dusty Sonnenberg has that story.
The cold weather that we experienced last week, while it was brutal on both man and beast, may have a positive side. The possible benefit is the impact that the cold may have on New World screwworm populations in northern Mexico and the capability of the parasite to potentially move northward into the United States. Now, that's because the low temperatures last week were the coldest in Texas in 5 years. The cold weather also went south into Mexico and may have caused some stress on New World screwworm flies and in particular the larvae. The 30-degree Fahrenheit temperature category in northern Mexico may not kill the parasite, but its population growth cycle is definitely delayed. Research published back in 2013 by the World Organization for Animal Health finds that in this pupal stage, New World screwworm cannot survive in soil temperatures below 46 degrees. Any slowdown in the screwworm's population means a later date for the potential for it to make its way into the United States. Reporting for the Ohio AgNet, I'm Dusty Sonnenberg.
How long might winter hold on to the Buckeye State? Brianna Smith has that story.
Yesterday was Groundhog Day, and while Punxsutawney Phil says we're in for 6 more weeks of winter, Ohio's own Buckeye Chuck is calling for an early spring. So who's right? We thought we'd skip the folklore and go straight to the science. Joining me is Aaron Wilson, state climatologist and ag weather and climate field specialist with Ohio State Extension.
Yeah, well, for us, meteorologically speaking, spring starts March 1st. So, neither of them, maybe Buckeye Chuck's a little more accurate there, but overall, Buckeye Chuck actually is a little bit more accurate. But we're looking for plenty of winter left here, early part of February. And then it will feel like Buckeye Chuck's probably a little bit closer to reality as we get to the end of February. I think things will, looks like trends are going to warm up just a little bit. The Arctic could still have a trick up its sleeve, but right now it does look like we're going to warm up in February. And March looks March-ish, pretty typical, but also a little bit on the wetter side, which is certainly something that we could use in terms of precipitation to help our drought conditions in the state.
Reporting for Ohio's Country Journal and Ohio AgNet, I'm Brianna Smith.
Thanks, Brianna. Back after this as the Ohio AgNet continues.
It's time for the Morton Buildings Building Value Days sales event running now through the end of February. Morton Buildings are built stronger, last longer, and look better. So if you're planning for a garage, farm shop, stall barn, a storage building for your RV, boat, or collectibles, or anything in between, act now. Our buildings are built to last, but these savings won't. Visit MortonBuildings.com or contact your local Morton office to take advantage of current savings on new buildings. Certain restrictions may apply. Offer valid only on select new building orders placed between January 5th and February 28th, 2026.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
Carla Schultz joins me. She's the director of the United Soybean Board from that state up north, but we'll still give her a little bit of time to talk about demand for soybeans, something that we're talking about quite a bit now with the price of soybeans. Finding demand is more important now than it has been in some time. What are some of the things you're visiting with here at American Farm Bureau as you talk about demand for soybeans, not just here in the U.S., but across the globe?
Yeah, I think it's very exciting, right, when we look at global demand. And I know there's been a lot in the headlines of seeing China not taking as many soybeans as in the past, but I think a big part of that is we're trying to grow the markets beyond China, right? And China is still a very important market. At the same time, we've got partners like USEC, right, the United Soybean Export Council that we work with exclusively as well. That's trying to build those demands so we've got that bigger portfolio to pick from, right? And that's really what you want. You want to be diversified, and we even talk about, right, investments and stocks at your own personal level. Same way here, we're talking from the United Soybean Board. It's like we want that diversified portfolio. So if China is down with taking beans, we're going to another country, and it may be some emerging markets out there that we're looking into as well. So that's exciting.
And how important is it? I mean, there's a pamphlet here at AFBF that talks about top exports for, this is back in 2023, but I'm sure these numbers still resonate, is that soybeans outpace every other thing by 100%.
Yeah, so you can tell exports are very essential to us and very important, right? And so it's like driving that demand, fueling that demand across the globe for what we grow in America.
And I think the way we think about trade probably needs to change. If not already, it will be about, when you talk about demand for soybeans, it's not about putting beans on a boat and getting them overseas. There are so many other ways that you're building demand for beans.
And isn't that true? And I think that biggest piece that we're looking at right now is livestock feed, right? We know that's a huge part of that. And it's like, well, how can we drive that? How can we tell the story of the quality protein that comes from the beans that we grow in America, and how are we feeding the livestock that we're putting on a plate in front of us? And that's beyond that's on the globe as well, right? Because we know that demand is growing. Maybe not in parts of the America that we see, but we know across in Asia, right? We know in Europe, let's say in Africa, all of those are growing. It's growth for us. So if we can get that message to nutritionists, veterinarians, livestock suppliers, that's a huge piece that we see grow in the future as well.
And of course, fuel is a part of this conversation with Sustainable Aviation Fuel, SAF as it's known, starting to get a lot more traction, not just inside the Beltway, but really across the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we look at biodiesel, right, and we look at those biofuels, really the real growth may be with maritime as well as, sometimes you think of it back to your own story, right? We think of cars, vehicles, but look at a bigger picture. Those maritime vessels, the railroads that use it as well. And then think of it from our domestic standpoint, but then think of it across the globe once again. How are those used in other countries? And I think that's a great piece that's going to continue to grow as well.
One of the messages you're going to be sharing here in Anaheim as well is about just how the vision with USB needs to be long-term. A lot of farmers are making plans or already have made plans for this next year, but what you're doing at USB goes far beyond 2026.
And Ty, that's so true. A lot of times, right, it's our feet on the ground, our boots on the ground at our farm level. But as a United Soybean Board Director, I always like to say we're kind of a helicopter view, right? We're the airplane view of like what do we see across that's coming down the pipeline 5 to 10 years out, because that's really going to be integral to how we're investing and why we're investing in the future.
Carla Schultz, Director of United Soybean Board, joining us. Appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Ty.
As you know, farm life moves fast, and so does the news that matters to you. You can stay ahead with the Digital Daily from Ohio AgNet and Ohio's Country Journal. Every morning at 6 a.m., get the top ag headlines, market trends, weather updates, and the stories shaping Ohio agriculture, all delivered right to your inbox. It's absolutely free, easy, and it keeps you informed before the day gets going. Sign up now at ohioagnet.com by clicking on the Digital Daily. We'll get a check of markets and analysis after this as the Ohio AgNet continues.
Get ready to bid on the heavy equipment and vehicles you need in a Ritchie Brothers Midwest Regional event happening February 10th through 12th. Inventory is at Ritchie Brothers locations in Columbus, Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, Kansas City, and Lincoln, with in-person inspections available. Bid on a wide selection of excavators, loaders, dump trucks, and truck tractors. Don't miss this great opportunity. Visit rbauction.com/Columbus to sign up. rbauction.com/Columbus.
Whether you're in the fields or on the farm, creating a safer work environment has never been easier. BWC's safety consulting services are included with your policy premiums and offer training and education for everyone in your farming operation. It's always the right time to make safety a priority. Visit bwc.ohio.gov or call 1-800-644-6292. The Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation, here to help you work safely.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins, and today's market analysis is brought to you by Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to bring a brand new soybean crush facility to Upper Sandusky. Learn more about marketing your soybeans with LDC at 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished sharply lower on Monday to kick off the work week. Improving weather in South America was issue number 1. Other commodity selling was issue number 2. Exports slowing in China, issue number 3. And issue number 4, well, just because. Follow through from last Friday. Let's kind of work through those one by one. Chart-based selling yesterday, mostly due to a lack of bullish fundamental impetus. However, there was a big $3 a barrel decline in crude oil futures and ongoing losses in precious metals and industrial metals. That's what sparked the liquidation across other parts of the commodity spectrum. The recent sharp rises in metals could not be explained by fundamentals as world central banks cut back on their metal investments, and and that led to the sharp turnaround. Now, at some point, this is going to even out, but what was nice to not hear yesterday was all of the blaming of the U.S. dollar and Brazilian real. That cooled yesterday. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. Markets brought to you on the Ohio AgNet by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. Corn for March, a penny and a quarter to the plus side overnight at $4.27 a bushel. May, $4.34 and a half. That's a penny to the good. Soybeans for March up 4 1/4 at $10.64 and a half. May beans 4 cents higher, $10.74 and 3/4, and July wheat up by a penny and a quarter at $5.48 and 3/4. After yesterday's trade, live cattle for February $238.17 up $2.32, April $2.72 higher, closing at $2.39.52. Feeder cattle for April up $5.90, $3.64.17 at the close. February lean hogs $87.75 up a half dollar, and April lean hogs up $1.47 at $96.62. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Ty Higgins reporting. We'll see you down the road.